Hello students of English and welcome to Excel at English, a channel devoted to helping you achieve excellence in analysis of English language and literature. In this lesson we will be introducing the context of The Handmaid's Tale as part of a series of lessons on this core A-level text. The lesson will be aimed specifically at students of AQA English language and literature course, but will also be highly valuable to anyone studying the text, or perhaps you're just generally interested in context and analysis on great texts of the 20th century. You can check the playlist below or on the channel page for other video lessons in the series, and if what you are looking for isn't there, then subscribe in case I do add the content, or put a request in comments for the video and I will consider whatever I can. This lesson, or this very brief introduction, will cover the context for the AQA Imagined Worlds question, and we'll talk very quickly about wider reading, and in the following sections we'll look at the dystopian genre, we'll look at social and political context of this novel, and we'll look at Atwood's own comments on The Handmaids. You should be aware that these lessons are not going to give you an overview of the text. They are not going to recap plot and character in any detail. You need that knowledge before you attempt these lessons. These lessons are analytical and evaluative in nature, so you need to have a strong knowledge of the text before you take part in them. Let's have a quick look at the question then. The AQA Language and Literature exam is a part to whole format for this question, which will be familiar for you if you did GCSE in the UK. If you did GCSE Literature, you'll be familiar with the part to whole question format. You'll be presented with an extract and you'll be asked to explore the significance of a character or theme in this section and also in the wider novel. There's also a cryptic prompt on the question which we need to decipher, which prompts you to explore the use of fantasy elements in constructing a fictional world, and we will in later videos look very closely at the way that authors create fictional worlds and create significance or use language to display significance of character and theme within these fictional worlds. The question is worth 35 marks, and there are 10 marks available for analysis of language, 10 marks available for your knowledge of the text, and there are 15 marks available for your evaluation of context and genre. These are taken from the AQA assessment objectives. I'm slightly generalising the titles, but generally it's 10 marks for language and 10 marks for knowledge. And you can see a lot of marks available for your evaluation of context and genre. This isn't inviting you to write a political essay or a sociological study of The Handmaid's Tale, but it is asking you to use contextualising the language in the text as a way of exploring the way that language, character, theme are presented. So we need to think very broadly about context. We need to consider things like literary context. We need to consider different critical viewpoints for looking at this. And if you can do that, then you will be successful at this question. In order to have that broad contextual understanding of the text, you will need to read widely. And to be highly successful on this course and on any English A-level course, you need to be prepared to read widely, and that means reading beyond the core text. Some ways that you can read beyond the core text: you could consider other novels from the dystopian tradition, and when we look at the dystopian genre in the next video, I'll make some suggestions of which novels would be best to look at. It certainly helps to read literary criticism, evaluations and analyses of the text, essays, if you like, from other students, I guess, are a form of literary criticism. But also, we're fortunate that The Handmaids is a very relevant contemporary text, or a text with great contemporary relevance, and there's an awful lot published about The Handmaids. There are articles, interviews, reviews, biographies. It helps, obviously, that it's been recently made into a series. Be a little bit careful as you research online. Obviously, your examination question, if you're a student of the Langlit course, will not be on the series, so I'm afraid that's not a shortcut that's open to you. Just watching the series and not the book, they do diverge from each other quite a lot. Make sure that the contemporary media that you read widely is focused on the text and has sort of a strong literary background. As these videos go on, I'll make some suggestions for wider reading, where there's texts available that I think would benefit you. Some of the recommended sources that you could look at: obviously you can use a Google search, or particularly Google Scholar if you're looking for academic articles and literary criticism. Obviously if you're looking at postgraduate theses on The Handmaid's Tale, these can get quite complex to read, but there are widely available materials that are good literary criticism that can be found on Google. The Guardian seem to have some kind of pact with Margaret Atwood in that they are often running articles about her and about the Handmaids. There are several interviews with Atwood on the Guardian, available from the Guardian website, in which she talks about the text, and there are also some articles herself that she's written for the Guardian. So generally the Guardian is a fairly reliable media source for contemporary media on this text. Finally then, the EMC eMag, that's published by the English and Media Centre. Your school may have a subscription, you may have printed copies in your library or available from your English department, or if your school does have an eMag subscription, there may be a school login where you can go and use that as a research base for wider reading. This is an excellent resource for finding literary criticism that is specially written for A-level students. And as Handmaids has been a text on the A-level course for many years, there's a great wealth of material available. So I highly recommend a subscription to the English and Media Centre's eMag. I certainly use it myself to widen my understanding of the text. Finally then, let's have a summary of what I've covered in this video. This is only an introduction. We will be looking in more detail at analysis and context in the later videos. But let's summarise. The question rewards you for evaluating the text in context, as well as looking at language and showing your understanding of the text. But this context includes social, literary and critical factors, and it's the way that we apply this context to interpreting the language in the text that's valuable to us. We've also covered the importance of wider reading and how important it is to get a broad understanding by reading beyond the core text. So that's all for this video lesson. If you found it useful, please click like to show your appreciation, or even better, leave a comment or a request below. Take a look at the channel page to see what other videos are going up, and subscribe to keep up to date with the new content. Thank you for watching Excel at English, and most of all, good luck with your studies.